Good morning, guys. This is Lost and Found. I wanted to get on here and switch it up a little bit this morning. I want to talk about, some jail stories and karma and how you can't just go around doing what you want and think that it's not going to come back to get you. This particular story wasn't about how I got by karma, but I have many stories like that I will share eventually. Um, this was a story where I was with my first son's mother. She had already had her kid. It was her first kid with somebody else. And, he abused her a lot and stuff like that. So I was told, gave her black eyes, smacked her around. And, I've never been big on that. I don't like when men put their hands on females. I watched it happen to my mom as a kid. I do not like it. As I've gotten older, I've learned to kind of stay out of this situation because a lot of times, as you guys know, the woman will keep going back and you just involved yourself into a situation possibly to put you in jail. And the whole time, she's going to go back. This story's similar to that. I was home when she told me all that stuff. I called this kid. I'm like, bro, all that shit you putting your hands on her, come put your hands on me. I'm a man. She's a woman. You're a man. It's only right. It's not right to prey on the weak. And, he was running his mouth. A lot of people do over the phone. And, he made a statement. His statement was, I will catch you around. It's a small world. Mind you, this kid lives like 10 minutes from me. So I'm like, well, we can meet right now. What are you talking about? You're not saying nothing. Well, he keeps talking a lot of shit. He's a blood. And, just on and on and on how he's in a gang, he's a blood, and he's going to fuck me up and all this stuff. So I'll pay no attention to it. I am on the run at the time. I end up getting locked up. I called my son's mother from the district. I broke up with her. I was really upset because I knew it was going to be a stressful bit. I got back in there. She told me she was pregnant, and she had an abortion with my child. But we stayed together, and while I was locked up, the dumbest decision I ever made. It was the most stressful bit of my life. While I was in there, I was on Max, and I just told you guys a story about how I got jumped on Max. So right after I got jumped, I came down off of maximum security. You got to do 60 days on Max, you drop down to medium. When I dropped down to medium, the counselor pulled me out to talk to me. She's like, where do you want to go? What unit you want to go to? And a lot of times they don't let you make that decision. So I say that to say this, COs are just human beings. So you can finesse them just like you can finesse anybody else. And that's what I did. I got put on the same unit he was on. The whole jail knew about it. I was sitting there in my bags, packed up, waiting to go. I had seen him prior in the hallway going to the library. And I was getting patted down to go back into my unit by the CO. So, sometimes you got to be patient, wait for your moment. I got moved down there. When I did, the whole jail was just yelling in the hallway. When you walk down the hallway at Jennifer Road, there's steel bars on each side. There's catwalks. People can yell and stuff. You can go dap people up real quick. I went to the bars. They're like, you ready to go down there and crush them? I'm like, yeah. So, it was hyped up before it happened. The whole jail knew about this. I had some brothers down there from the organization that I was involved in, and I kept sending kites down there, like, take care of that, and they kept sending shit back, and this is how that shit goes, I couldn't get them to do anything. It was always an excuse every time, so I sent the kite down there. I said, when I get down there, I'm going to show you how this shit's supposed to be done. I was jumping out there a little bit, but I was mad. I was frustrated, it's like, if y'all can't be there to do me a favor, then and when I do y'all a favor, then what are you even here for? We're supposed to have each other's backs. So I ended up going down there. I walk in, I see a person who I was real close with. I go up to him. I'm like, what room's he in? He's like, room 6. Now, mind you, this kid who was talking all this shit on the street, and putting his hands on my son's mother and stuff like that, he's smaller. So I went in there with full confidence. I was like, I'm just going to whip on him, and that's going to be it. So little did I know, little to my surprise, when I walked into the pod, he was on the first bunk to the right. So when I walked in, I didn't see him initially. And I'm like, looking around, I see him. I'm like, what's up? And he's like, what's up? So he gets up and he starts to square up. He walks to the back of the pod towards the windows, and I'm up by the door. I have one of my brothers watching the door for me. You know, we square up, and he cracked me. He hit me with a right hook. When he did, he blacked my eye, and actually, he didn't even black my eye. He put a lump on my eyebrow is what he did. Almost simultaneously, I hit him back with a right hook. When I did, he must have felt it. He dropped. He put his head right here, like a little pocket. So it was like perfect spot. Just keep uppercutting. So that's what I did as fast and hard as I could. He was begging me to stop. And, you know, depending on the situation and what the person did, you know, you show mercy to people when they're done. You know, you just don't keep beating them. So that's what I did. When I did, he started wiping the blood off my arm and apologizing. And that right there was enough. That was embarrassing enough for him to get his payback. He came walking. I went straight to the phone, actually. I called my son's mother, and I was like, you know, your baby dad, yeah, that shit's taken care of, without getting into too many details. And I was still shaking and out of breath. He come walking out the room, and everybody leaned back and was like, damn, your shit's not on dubs, your shit's on 40s. His shit was all swelled up, swelled shut. And, you know, I'm not trying to brag about what I did to this kid, but I will say this. He did worse to females. You know, he talked a lot of garbage. You know, he said a lot of stuff to me that he couldn't take back. And, you know, now I'm older, I'm a little more humble, so I know what I could do, and I just accept it. And I'm like, you know, I kind of look at the person like, you know, neither one of us need to do this unless it's a good enough reason, because this isn't little kid stuff anymore. You know, people are getting stabbed, people are getting chopped up, people are getting killed. You know, we're involved in other things. You know, as we get older, we're just tired of dealing with, you know, the bullshit all the time. So you never know what somebody's going through, but that's why you watch what you say, because it will always come back to bite you. And this is a story about how that happened. You know, we're both free. You know, at the time, I'm on the run. He was in there for 30 days sentence for putting his hands on her. So that was mandatory. He had that coming. But that's how karma will come right back around and get you. And here's the best part. He goes home, and they end up hooking up, and she gets pregnant by him and gets an abortion. And I was hesitant to say that because now I'm saying this out loud. This makes me look really bad as far as my character, that I stuck around with somebody doing stuff like that. But it is what it is. We all have our stories. I'm not on here to lie. I'm on here to be honest. I'm on here to be raw and tell the truth. So, you know, I got drugged through the mud, and I stuck around, and, you know, it kept happening. I ended up looking like a fool. So there's two lessons out of this. One, karma will come back to get you. And two, if there's a sign to leave it alone, just leave it alone. You'll be way better off. It would have saved me a lot of suffering had I just turned my back the first time. But that's a story for you guys. Watch what you say out there. We'll come back to get you. You guys have a good day. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you supporting and everything you guys do. And I will see you later. Thank you.